everyone, and welcome to ProLine, the longest-running sports handicapping show in America. I'm John Cranton in Las Vegas, joined by Jeff Sod. He's been running Las Vegas Sports Services for 14 years, plus world champion handicapper Jim Feist. It's Game 7 weekend, guys. We're going to take a look at all three of the Saturday NBA matchups for Game 7, give you some betting trends, look at totals, as well as best bets. But first, we have to talk about winning, something that Donald Sterling hasn't been used to in his career as an NBA owner. We'll start with you, Jim, a 22-10 NBA playoff run. You've been sizzling with these NBA totals. You hit a plus 165 NHL winner last night as the Montreal-Boston series opened, and you got a special for the rest of May for everyone.
Well, absolutely, John. Thank you for mentioning that. It's been a great month of April, and we're going to make May the same way. You can get all of May's plays for $31. That's NBA, baseball, hockey. I opened with the Montreal-Boston series with a winner there, plus 165, as you mentioned. You'll get it all, baseball, hockey, NBA, the rest of May, $31. That's 31 small dollars, not 3,100, but 31 small dollars, 1-866-841-1655. That's 1-866-841-1655.
All right, and Mr. Vegas has a special for the month of May. Get NBA and baseball for $19. Just call 1-866-896-1627. Jeff, you've had a terrific run in baseball and hoops. Going back to 2011, you've got a 111-80 run, and then your best bets in baseball, a current 18-8 run. How can folks get aboard LVSS with a special?
Yeah, last year I entered the playoffs on a 17-5 run, including 6-0 the last 6 games of the finals. I'm going to give you the rest of May baseball and NBA playoffs for only $29. When you sign up, you're going to get a special high roller consensus release for it's a $100 value. You're going to get that as a bonus. Call LVSS at 1-866-575-8916. It's the rest of May. Baseball and NBA playoffs, just $29. A special consensus play as a bonus, free. Call 1-866-575-8916.
All right, make sure you take advantage. If you want to win, these Vegas pros have been doing it for decades. All right, guys, let's start with a Saturday game. We got the Indiana Pacers and the Atlanta Hawks playing in Game 7, -6 currently on the Pacers, total of 186. The number 8 Hawks, they've already won twice here, 2-1 in the playoffs. And that's amazing because the wacky Pacers went 35-6 at home during the regular season. That was the best home mark in the NBA, but we haven't seen it at all with the Hawks winning here, playing well here in Indiana. It's been a very perplexing Indiana team for a couple of months now. You look back at Game 5, which was the last one that took place here. Atlanta won 101-93. But, Jim, the Hawks could not close it out at home. On the other hand, can you trust an Indiana team on a 16-34-1 spread run?
You know, this is the head case game of the year. These two teams, they're totally basket cases. The Hawks, in Game 4 and Game 6, they had leads going down the stretch, and in each game, they gave up 8 or 9 consecutive points to the Pacers. And it wasn't really because, I mean, the Pacers stepped up their defense. There's no question about that. But the Hawks didn't take care of the ball. They didn't run plays. They went one-on-one, threw up bad shots. This is a team that's capable, probably more capable than they even believe they are. I don't think they're ready to win. The difference, though, is this has been a series that's very competitive. The road teams have done well. No team has won back-to-back games. Now, here's Indiana. They're going to be 6 point. They are a 6-point favorite in this game. Now, Paul George came out onto the floor when there was a scuffle. That's supposed to be an automatic 1-game suspension. If he's suspended for Indiana, an already dysfunctional team then loses their best player because Roy Hibbert is definitely not their best player. He's a non-existent player. But if Paul George is suspended, and we don't know that right now. So right now, at this point, I would tell everybody, if they're listening to this before the announcement, go out and bet Atlanta. Because if he's suspended, the line's only going to go lower. So take a lead on it. Atlanta is not ready to win because their mental state isn't ready to win. They haven't been there enough times and failed enough times to know how to get over the hump. That's what I see with them. that doesn't mean they can't win, because the Pacers, sometimes they just screw up a lot, and they've screwed up quite a bit at home this year in this series. So anything can happen. I probably think the Pacers are going to win the game if Paul George plays, but it's a toss-up if he doesn't.
Well, Indiana did come back and win that game at Atlanta, 95-88. They didn't play very well offensively, only shooting 43%. That's been a problem all year. They did play some very stellar defense, allowing 35.5% shooting. The Hawks helped out by going just 9 of 35 from long range. Atlanta had actually done exceptionally well from long range this series, but kind of garbaged out in that one. And Jeff, the comment that I liked from David West after the game of Indiana, he said, hey, we tried different lineups. The coach rolled the dice. Well, that's a nice way of saying we benched this bum Roy Hibbert. I mean, they didn't bench him completely. He did see some time, but they've been phasing this guy out of the lineup. So I'm not sure what has happened to him or whether Indiana's going to be focused or not. How do you see it?
Well, this team's been a puzzle since the second half, since the All-Star break. I know the defense hasn't been as good as it used to be, and as we said in past shows, they don't have an offense to fall back on to make up for it, and that's just what's happened here. They wouldn't have won last night if it weren't for David West making several clutch plays on the last few minutes. The Hawks only shot 36% last night, and they still almost won the game. And the Hawks were 9 of 35 from the three-point line, 26%, still almost won the game. So the Pacers, I don't know what you can say about this team. They're just the first half of the season looked like they could play in the NBA Finals. Now they look like one of the worst teams ever to finish with the best record in the conference. It's hard to go against a home team at Game 7. Since 1982, home teams in Game 7, the NBA playoffs are 38, 25, and 2, 60% against the spread. Straight up 54 and 11, 83%. But then again, right now, as we're doing the show, there are so many unknown factors here. Indiana is a 6-point favorite. It's hard to lay points with a team that shoots this badly. But then again, to go against a home team in a Game 7, especially when the Pacers have shown that when their back's against the wall, they can win. So right now, it's just at this moment, it's just too hard to pick a side in this game, John, and we'll have to wait and see what happens here.
Yeah, like everybody, I've been trying to figure out what is going on with this Indiana team. The one parallel that I could draw as a team that I followed closely was the 1983 Celtics. Very talented team. They won the title 2 years earlier. Yet the second half of that season, they just stumbled. They got blown out by bad teams. They had losing streaks. It was a baffling, talented team playing bad. Well, when the playoffs came, they got swept despite home court by the Milwaukee Bucks. Right after that happened, the coach resigned and the players admitted what was going on. We just were not a happy, cohesive, together group. Larry Bird, years later, he just shook his head and said, it was just a bad year. He didn't blame the coach like a lot of the other players did, saying we tuned out the coach. Bird just said we just weren't together. And I suspect that when this Indiana team gets knocked out of the playoffs, either this weekend or within a week or so, I think we're going to find some of the details like that are going on with some of the unhappy things and the lack of cohesion with this group. But anyway, as of now, they're still alive for Game 7. A couple of spread trends to keep in mind. When the Atlanta Hawks lose a game, they're 5-0 against the spread the next game. They're also 6-1 ATS on the road. And the Indiana Pacers at home, 3-11 spread run. So be careful about backing the Pacers. Right. Before we get to a couple of games going out west, if you want to get free plays sent right to your cell phone every day, if you want to get them from Dave Koken, it's real easy. Just text Koken to 313131, and Jim, they can get free plays from you every single day, just as easy.
That's right, John. Just text WINNER, WINNER, to 313131, and we'll send you free plays right to your cell phone each and every day. That's WINNER, WINNER, to 313131.
All right, our next series, you got Memphis playing Oklahoma City in Game 7. What we saw here is 4 consecutive overtime games, which was astonishing, and then a Thunder blowout in Game 6. Overall, it's been a defensive series. Seems like Memphis, Jim, in their big front court, big physical play, it's been kind of a tough matchup, and yet they couldn't close it out either when they had the chance. They're 8-3-1 against the spread. Memphis is at Oklahoma City, and they're also 14-6 ATS after a loss. Do you think they can pull another, maybe force overtime or pull an upset in Game 7?
Well, it's a great embarrassment and revenge spot for Memphis here. I mean, they have won at Oak City before. They beat them last year in the playoffs, or the last time they met in the playoffs, 4 out of 5 games. They've given this team trouble. Now, Durant went off last night and controlled the game. Injuries come into play. You have to check that because these teams have some injuries. But you get a situation like this where you get a really burned and pissed off Memphis team after what they did at home. You know they're going to come with a lot of energy and going to make adjustments. 8 points is a lot of points in a situation like this. You know, we go back and we look at history, and we go back 20 years, 10 years, 5 years, whatever the case may be. But this is probably the most unusual first round of NBA playoff games that I've ever seen, and I've been around 45 years doing this. And these road teams have done exceptionally well. And the home court values have just not held up. Last night there were some spots where teams could have closed it out and they didn't do it. Here's another situation. Now we're really down to it. Somebody's going to go home in each one of these games. Memphis getting 8 points, Oklahoma laying 8 points. The schizophrenic style of these teams, they all seem to be schizophrenic. We're going to talk about the most schizophrenic organization in the next game. But, you know, laying points like this, like Jeff said, you don't know what you're going to get. It's like Forrest Gump said, you never know. Life is like a box of chocolates. Well, this NBA first round is like that. You never know what you're going to get.
Forrest Gump is a local sportsbook director too. Jeff, here's a Kevin Durant. We know he's the key to Oklahoma City, but I wonder, is the key really Russell Westbrook? I mean, we know that when he's a ball hog, when he takes 25 or more shots per game, Oklahoma City has an 11-18 record. Now, they lost Game 5 with him shooting 10 of 31 despite a triple-double all around, and then he only took 21 shots in Game 6, and they won to force Game 7. How do you see him in this series?
Well, it's okay if he takes a lot of shots as long as he makes them. If he doesn't, they're in big trouble. The one thing about this, as Jim said, these series, this first round, as I said before the show, it seems as if it's taken a month to get this first round over with. There's been so many unusual things happening. We had the Donald Sterling debacle. It just seems like it's been forever. It's been less than 2 weeks. This first round series has been so unusual that to lay this many points in a Game 7, the only reason that it's this many points is because of the history of Game 7 in the NBA playoffs, as I said earlier. Otherwise, if this were a Game 4 or 5, I don't think the Thunder would be like an 8-point favorite at home after what we've seen. Kevin Durant broke out of a slump. They had a derogatory headline in the Oklahoma City paper. I don't know why it takes headlines to make these guys get out of slumps, but he had 36 points, 10 rebounds, 14 of 15 free throws. Memphis shot only 37%, so that was another big factor. They'll hopefully for them they'll shoot better in Game 7. Mike Conley was 2 for 10 for the field. He might have a hamstring injury. So and once again we have a high point spread here in a Game 7, mostly because it is a home team in Game 7. Hard to lay points, and as Jim said, and the way these games are going, hard to lay this many points. But then again, it's hard to go against the Thunder here because of the situation. The Grizzlies, I don't know. It's just hard to take the Grizzlies in this Game 7 situation. I'll probably lean toward the Thunder, John.
Yeah, and the defense just wasn't very good for Memphis that last game. They allowed 49% shooting after playing so well. And Memphis offensively only shot 37%. One thing to keep in mind, Memphis, not a very good free throw shooting team, and that was really evident that in the blowout loss the last game, 19 of 28 from the line. If it's another close game, they've been able to get by with some shaky free throw shooting, but if it's another OT or close game, that could help Oklahoma City in Game 1. A couple of spread trends to keep in mind for Game 7. When the Grizzlies win a game, they're terrible against the spread the next game. We saw that the other night, 4-11-2 against the spread. However, when they lose a game, the tremendous bounce-back team, 14-6 against the spread. When Memphis goes on the road, they lean on that great defense, 29 under the total on the road. And they've been very good in Oklahoma City, 8-3-1 against the spread. Okay, let's take a look at our last game. We've got the Golden State LA Clippers Game 7 at the Staples Center. It's been a wild series. You know, the Clippers are so deep and talented. They have star power as well as terrific role players. But, boy, you have to tip your hat to this undermanned Warrior team. They've been tough. They've been gritty. They're a tough team to defend with that dynamite backcourt. Jim, you've got a series here where the home team between these teams is 10-3 against the spread. It's clear Warriors are not going to go away. They keep playing hard to stay alive. Do they have enough in them to keep this one close and maybe pull another upset?
There's some parts of what this Warrior team does that's rather impressive, but there's other parts that they actually emulate the worst teams in the league, and that's the turnovers. They are about as sloppy as you could possibly be with their turnovers. Now, if you get a game where they're turning the ball over and they're not hitting their threes, it's a disaster. Now, they've lost players. They have players that have been hurt. They're big back Bogut. The other night, O'Neal got hurt. Not sure whether he's going to be able to play. So you got injuries in all three of these games that are critical. Now, the problem with the L.A. Clippers, I'm very impressed with this team from the standpoint of their physical attributes and their talent. They have a good coach. They've got inside game. They've got an outside game. They've got everything. This team, and ironically, I'll even bring this up a little bit later, but this team has it all, but should be playing better against the team that doesn't have the inside power to match them. And they should be definitely dominating this series because of that. Because of the injuries to Golden State, they should be dominating the series, and they're not. Now, Golden State, because of these guys that hit these outside shots, and they are very talented guys, and if they're reasonably hot, they can do a lot of damage. I couldn't lay 7 points with this Clipper team. I mean, the Donald Sterling fiasco, I know when the commissioner made the announcement the other day, is we are one, but the bottom line is Donald Sterling is going to sue the league to stop them from making him sell. These guys are going to be working for Donald Sterling for at least a couple of years. If I know anything about the American court system, they drag everything out. Very expensive lawyers will drag this stuff out for years. He'll still be in charge, or at least the family will be. So if these players are unhappy playing for Donald Sterling, hey, read my lips, baby. You're going to be with him for a long time, maybe to the end of your career. It just doesn't work that way. And now I agree that the guy should be out of the league. He's, I don't believe in his philosophies at all, but the legal system is they had an illegal voice recording that they're going off of, and all of that. It's going to be a big old mess. The Clippers laying 7 in a game like this, a game 7. The Warriors are very dangerous. Like I said, in all the games, these underdogs are live because these favorites are schizophrenic. They don't always come to play with the same talent and intensity, et cetera, et cetera. So now, what happens if the Clippers go on and win the championship? Can you see them giving Donald Sterling the award and handing him the trophy? I cannot see that day happening.
It can't happen. No, then something would intervene, something gigantic. That would be an astonishing thing to think about. Jeff, the Warriors are only 1-5 against the spread in their last 6 meetings here in Los Angeles. And the play of Draymond Green for Golden State has certainly helped the front court. I mean, they were very thin with Bogut injury and O'Neal as well. Green had 14 points, 14 rebounds the last game. Even the previous game, the 113-103 loss the Golden State had in L.A., he chipped in with 10 points and 11 rebounds in only 27 minutes. So I wonder if he could be a difference maker in Game 7. And then, of course, you have to wonder about the emotion for Game 7. The Clippers have been on an emotional roller coaster this last week. Do you think they'll be 100% focused for this Game 7?
I think the emotional factor would be the biggest positive for the Clippers in this game. What more could you ask for? A Game 7 at home after all this what's happened in the last couple of weeks with the Donald Sterling thing. That might be the best thing going for them right now. I think the commissioner did the Clippers a big favor by making the decision so quickly. Even though Sterling's going to be around for a while owning the team, at least they got the penalty phase over with, so they can put that behind them now. Clippers. Last night was Thursday night, another example of a team not shooting well, but still almost winning. Clippers only shot 37% Thursday night, and still came close to winning the game. Now they get the Game 7 at home, so remember Game 2, that blowout when they were ahead of the Warriors by 40 points at one time. That's why this line is 7, and it's possible that could happen again. I'm going to lean toward the Thunder in this game because I just think mentally and the fact that it's a Game 7 at home is too much for the Warriors to overcome.
Well, here we have a total of 209.5. The over is 11-4 the last 15 meetings between these aggressive offensive teams. There's also the Warriors are 5-0 over the total on the road, and when these teams meet in Los Angeles, the last 8 meetings have gone 7-1 over the total. With that said, historically, Game 7s are slow, grinding defensive battles where the coaches demand great defense. So I would go against those trends and look for more of a defensive battle in this all-important Game 7. I think both teams are going to play their great defense. And the Golden State Warriors are actually very strong defensively, top 10 in the NBA in points allowed and field goal shooting defense for the entire season. Okay, let's go through some of the offers. If you're looking for plays from Mr. Vegas for the entire month, make sure you call 1-866-896-1627. You get all of April for $19. And Jim, on Sunday, you hit your NBA payback game of the month. That was the Golden State Warriors winning over LA 118-97. It certainly was payback. You've been on a terrific NBA playoff run of 22-10. How can folks get aboard for the rest of the month?
Well, what I advise here, I mean, we've had a great round 1, and we're looking forward to the ending of this and the beginning of round 2. There'll be a lot of soft lines. I'm going to, usually I think we usually give out a best bet kind of thing. I don't always do that, but I will say this. The Saturday games are going to be extremely intense, and you're going to see these teams step up, play great defense. I think you're going to see the officials swallow the whistle. I absolutely just hate the way the officials call these games. They're so inconsistent, it's pathetic. But I think they'll swallow the whistles on Saturday, and you're going to see a very intense games, and probably most of the games are going to stay under unless they go into overtime or there's a blowout involved somewhere in there. So I'm looking in that direction for the best bet. Now, as far as what I'm offering for the rest of May is $31, getting you hockey, baseball, and basketball at NBA playoffs. And for $31, I mean, we're red hot, 22-10. We've had some huge games. I mean, big marquee games that we've won. You want to be on board for this. You want to make some money. Pretty soon the NBA will be done. We'll be into baseball only, and then we have football a couple of months down the road. So let's make some money here. Build a bankroll for the football season that's coming up in about 90 days. Call 1-866-841-1655. You get all of May for 31 small grocery dollars.
All right, and my best bet will be that Clippers Golden State Game 7 under the total. Jeff, you're 18-8 best bet run in baseball. You're also 41 more wins than losses in the NBA playoffs since 2011, a record of 111-80. And you have a special for folks to get aboard for the month of May.
Yeah, the rest of May, NBA playoffs and baseball is $29. You sign up, you get a free high roller consensus play. It's a $100 value. You get that free. Call WSS at 1-866-575-8916, 1-866-575-8916.
All right, that'll do it for this week's show. There's money to be made in baseball, the NHL, and the NBA playoffs. These guys are making it every night, so make sure you take advantage and win with these Vegas pros. Enjoy the Game 7 weekend, everybody, and we'll see you next week with another edition of Pro Line.